So you talk about growing up in the family you did, and maybe other guys haven't been exposed to some of the same things that you have. And, it seems like to me, from my perspective, you grew up in two different worlds. There's this world where you have this tight family who loves Jesus, part of a church, homeschooled for a while, right? I can't imagine homeschooling you. I bet you were a pain. Is that true? Were you a good homeschool student or a bad one?
I was actually really, really a good homeschool student. Then when I went to public school, that's when it got iffy.
Okay. Was your mom the primary teacher or your dad or
She
who?
was, she was, but we did the homeschool, so she would be there if we needed questions. But our curriculum, it was like we kind of was self-taught, like the books and the online
Okay.
curriculum. So,
That's
but I,
good.
I was good at homeschool because it was on my own time. Like
All
I could
right.
do a subject, stop, do another subject.
Yeah. So you're in this tight knit family, loves Jesus, homeschooled, but then because of basketball, you were exposed to so much more than that, right? I mean, even from a
Yeah.
young age, you had an opportunity to travel and meet different kinds of people. And now, of course, in the league and kind of a celebrity. Has it been hard to live in those two worlds? Like, how do those two worlds come together? Because they seem really different to me.
Yeah, it is very hard. It started at a young age, but it's only gotten progressively like worse, and drastically different. Like back in the day, you were around. I was homeschooled, so I was in a way sheltered. But then you got all your basketball friends who are going to public school, so they're already introduced to these things at a very young age, and that's kind of crazy to see. But like now, you go into this world, this very secular world where you're getting judged for every move you make. It's all about money, fame, jewelry, clothes, the culture, just the whole culture. I'm in the middle of it. But then like the game is over with and you go home and it's like, who are you when you're at home? And I think a lot of guys struggle with, going back and forth. And it is a struggle going from kind of that worldly side back to the grounded side. Like, okay, who am I? And that's why a lot of guys get lost in the sauce. And it can be a struggle. And I think that's another reason why you just got to have people in your life who still treat you like you were like I was when I was 15, 16 years old. And just see me as Michael, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it seems like growing up in that world where you've got kind of like we said, the homeschooling faith and then the celebrity basketball, that it would be easy to develop almost two lives, like the public
Mhm.
life and the private life, or I'm around this group of people act one way and around a different group of people act a different way. And then you're in high school or college, I mean, it's just hard no matter what at that stage of life, much less when
Yeah.
you're exposed to all of the opportunities that you
Yeah.
are. So I would think that it would be easy. I'm just talking about myself. I don't know if this is true for you, to have kind of this faith in Christ that's private, but in public be different. When did you kind of start saying, hey, no, I want to follow Jesus publicly and privately? Or is that still something you're wrestling with?
Yeah. I think I definitely used to, and I think a lot of kids go through this. They're very insecure with not only their faith but like who they are. So around certain friends,
Uh-huh.
like around my basketball friends who might not necessarily believe what I believe, I'm kind of acting this way. And against my Christian friends, I'm really liking that, and it gets taxing. So for me, it got to a point where this happened in college. Finally, for the first time in my life, I was allowed to do whatever I wanted to do. I could be who I wanted to be,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't take long to realize, for me at least, okay, all this stuff, it's cool, but it's going to leave me empty. I kind of try to learn from other people that, other celebrities I knew, that even once they get something, they want the next thing. So that's when I think in college, finally realized, okay, I want to choose Jesus and God. I want to be known as that. I'm not going to be perfect,
Right.
but that's what I'm going to choose. And I think that's another thing people struggle with is once they choose Jesus, they think they have to be perfect and hold up a certain image, even if they're really struggling. So
Uh-huh.
one thing I've tried to do is, I'm a Christian and those things, but when I am struggling, I'm not gonna not share it. I'm not gonna not talk about it in my podcast. I'm not gonna act like I have it all together, because I think that's when, if something does come up and you are struggling, then people are just like, yo, like, who is this guy? He was just living a double life. Like, I think that transparency is, a key to growth for sure.
People hold others to a higher standard than they hold themselves. And so, you're trying to figure out your life just like all of us are. But because you're doing it in the spotlight, everything that you do, good or bad, gets exposed. I wouldn't want everything I do that to be on television or to have a microphone in my face when I blow it. So you're right, being transparent, being humble, being in process, that's important. You're talking about your podcast, Curious Mike, and I want to come back to that in a second, but I was watching this episode of you and Lecrae, and you guys were talking about, maybe like losing your religion and finding your faith, I think is how you guys were talking about it.
Yeah.
What's that mean? Help us understand what that means.
So, I think, you get to a point where it's like, okay, religion is, so why did I follow Jesus? Every other religion, it's like you have to perform to be saved, and you're always living kind of in fear.
Mm-hmm.
I chose Christianity because it's the only one where it's like, no, someone did it for me. Now, because of that, I get to love him and appreciate him, and he'll change me. It's the only one, like I think Lecrae put it, every other religion, you're reaching up, and then in Christianity, Jesus is reaching down and pulling you up. So I think like losing your religion and finding your faith is just developing that relationship with God. It's not all about me. It's not all about my willpower and my self-discipline. It's more about my relationship, and that will eventually change me if I stay abiding in God and in his word. Because for me, like, I just know myself. I'm so self-disciplined and I have a lot of willpower, but even that in the lifestyle I live, it'll take you it won't take you very far. Like, that will not take you very far at all. So that's kind of what made me switch my thinking around. And it really takes a lot of the pressure off of yourself. You put your problems on God, and he helps you through them. So that was what it was for me. Just because this lifestyle is tough, man. And I know a lot, like you said earlier, I'm in the spotlight. So a lot of people get to judge what I do, but they don't realize that, if they were given the same exact position with all this money, it doesn't matter how good of a person you think you are. A lot of people, if they were given that opportunity, they might switch up just as fast as a lot of these guys do.
agree with that.